Transformers reviews, tech and the news, whatever else I use as a muse. Hit subscribe, I appreciate the views. Influences interest on YouTube.
What's going on, people? This is Influence. I'm overdubbing today. So first step in this is you got to take this apart. Don't be like me and make the mistake of try to take off the bottom trigger buttons. You only have to take off the top. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description of the person whose video I watch in order to take this controller apart. This won't really be a tutorial to take the controller apart. I'm just going through it quickly just to show you the involvement, and I will talk about it. So I messed up the first time and took off the bottom triggers. You don't need to do that, and you may mess it up. And then there's 4 screws in the ends once you take off that plate, which ain't that hard. And then there's 2 screws in the back under those buttons. That's why you want to take off the triggers. Top triggers. I can't say that enough because I did mess up my trigger a little bit. So then there's 2 little clips that you got right there in the front of the controller. You got to try to pry out, and you just got to pry them because it's all clipped together. It's easy. It's not hard. I just didn't want to break it. So I'll take my time, get that plate off. So then there's a series of screws. You want to take out the battery. There's a little clip that the battery's clipped in. Then there's some ribbon cables. There's about 4. One, there's a mic on the back of the controller, a mic on the front of the controller. I believe it's to cancel out. The one on the back is to cancel out noise, I think. Don't quote me, but there's ribbon cables for those. There's ribbon cables for the 2 motors on the side of that handles. You must take those off. There's screws under the battery cover. So you want to get those ribbon cables off. Then I'm unscrewing the battery cover now. You'll see the screws, and all screws are the same, basically. But there's a set of 2 screws that are different, and the rest are the same. So you just have to keep them separated. This may not be for like the beginner. If you've never, right here, I'm fixing the controller because I ripped off a piece that shouldn't have been, and it's fine now. I think I fixed it well. I didn't totally kill it. I thought I damaged it at first. I pulled out the white ribbon cable connector instead of just the ribbon cable, but I got it back in, pins intact. So now I'm trying to get the other ribbon cables out. They're very hard. You may need a tool. And also, always when you pull the ribbon cables, don't pull the ribbons, pull the actual plastic. There's a plastic piece that's connected that's made for you to pull, and you can pull on that fairly hard. You just don't want to pull and yank it and rip the ribbon off because the ribbons are very delicate. Then there's screws on the side of the motors on the handles. That's what I'm doing now. So I think I'm still trying to get the ribbon cables off. There are actually 5 because there's a blue one too at the top. So you get that, and you get the motherboard, the main board up. Then there's some more screws underneath, and these screws right here, they're like towards the top. They're silver screws. The rest are black. Then you just want to get all this stuff off. A couple more screws. You can get the touchpad out. Then you just take the buttons off. If you're okay with button placement, if you know what you're doing, if you played PlayStation forever like I did, you know where the buttons go back, so it was a no-brainer. But here I'm just taking the buttons out and putting them all together so I have everything together. Then there's membranes underneath those buttons that you need to take out. Now you don't have to take out every single button in the middle. If you're not painting that and you're taping it up, you'll see what I mean. So now I have this, and I'm taping up the middle because I don't want the middle section to get painted, because I don't want it to be changed in thickness from the paint. in order to stick the that black piece back on. There's a little black piece that goes on top that you see. If you have a controller, you know. Again, I will link in the description the guy's video who, I can't remember his name right now, but I will tag him and link him in the description, who helped me take this apart. Now, if you don't have any experience in taking stuff apart, I used to take mad stuff apart, radios. I used to fix everything for people. I don't do it too much anymore, but that's the experience I have. I used to always, when I was young, you just take electronics apart. That one time, that was a major of mine. And I still do it on the side. So I'm used to taking stuff apart like this. And then I just taped up these holes just so that overspray, an abundance of overspray doesn't get into the inside of the controller. Just because I don't know how changing the thickness of the controller inside from paint, because paint does change the thickness, and you'll see what I mean. Now I'm sanding the whole controller because you want to sand it to get it rough, and they have like a coating on the outside that prevents like stains and stuff. So you just want to sand it real good. I'm sanding it now. I have 2000 grit, but then I dropped it down to, I think I dropped it to 1500 or 1800, something a little more rough, because it wasn't feeling like it was getting that plastic coating off. I don't think it was. So I think I'm looking for the sandpaper now. That's why I'm here, but I can talk to you a little bit. If you're new here, subscribe. I appreciate it. I appreciate you joining the video. And for all my subscribers, I appreciate it greatly. I always say it, but it's nice, you know. So here I got some new sandpaper. I'm not sure what this is. I think it's 15 or 1800. I'm not sure, to be all the way real with you. But you want to sand it good. You want to sand all surfaces and then clean it. That's what I'm doing here. I'm cleaning it with napkins. And I think I'm ready to paint. I didn't get the first coat that I put on there because it wasn't recording. But here I just put it in the box, sort of like my other customized videos. Put it in the box, sprayed a good coat. Excuse the lighting. It's not the greatest. Then I sprayed another coat. I think after I let this dry, I sprayed another coat. And here's the final product. I will slow it down in a minute. This is just the reassembling. So when you reassemble, you just got to put everything backwards, everything. And that's the thing. If you haven't never taken anything apart, this could be the tricky part, figuring out which is which. And again, the guy that I'm going to link his teardown video, but he also has a video. I believe he has a video of putting it back together. So you can check him out. He's much better, and that's the reason I fast forward this or made it high speed, because I'm not the greatest in, I don't think I could be a teacher. Let me put it that way. Like, I'm not the greatest in describing things to people that have never done it before, but I do like to demonstrate what can be done. So maybe you want to experiment. So yeah, I'm just putting the screws back. Got to make sure all the ribbon cables are reconnected. Don't forget any of them, because they're all important. Everything's important. You want to make sure everything, and this is me I'm just checking with every screw. I'm just checking the buttons are okay. They're not sunk in or not. I mean, you truly won't know until you turn it on and play with it. But you can get a sense of if you got the buttons in right. You know how it feels. You use the controller before, you know how it feels. So that's just me doing that. I'm putting in the ribbon cables. They can be a little tricky, but they do have little 2 tabs on the side of the plastic piece where you can use to try to push it in, but they're so thin, it's hard to get it all the way. But make sure you get that all the way. There's a line usually on there. Now this is the battery compartment, and I do mess up. I put in the screw in the board already. Right now I'm trying to get the mic situated, but I realized I put the screw in before I was supposed to. So I got to take that screw out, and that's what I'm doing now, because it goes in on top of the battery holder, and then it holds the board and the battery holder. So then you plug the battery in. The battery has a little connector. Just plug that in. Everything's good. Now you want to put it all together. Put the 4 screws that you took out in the beginning in. Make sure they're pretty tight. Make sure everything's squeezed together, because it all clips together. Put the bottom screws in. Don't forget those. Shouldn't have any screws left. That's a tall tale sign. I've done that before too, with stuff. You have anything left? So now the last thing is to make sure everything works. So let's see. PS5 came on, lights on. Can see a little flaw right there, but let's see. Put on Astro's Playroom and there we go. Screenshot. Check this. Showing everything. Let me throw on the game real quick. See if lights on. The one thing I can say, that's my mute. One thing I can say is the fact of the light. That's for first player. The thickness of the paint does change the button length, like the length that it needs to be pushed down. It doesn't feel, I guess playing a game I can tell better, but so let's see. Let me go. Yeah, let's go to a new one. All rumble features working. Rumble motors. Yeah, so everything is working. The tension is on it. Yeah, so everything's good. So yeah, that's about it. I'll catch y'all.
Ain't no, life ain't over, life ain't over, life ain't over. As long as you alive, you can give another try and take it real high if you want.